And a good Sunday to you. You have found us. Welcome to Lori Stories. I am your host, Lori Pinson. And today on our topic, this is something that we don't often hear a lot about. I think we need to hear more about it. We're going to be talking about human trafficking, and I'm going to speak with a representative from Sanctum House. You say you don't know what Sanctum House is? No worries. I've got that information for you.
We always say the face of human trafficking is vulnerability. And often these women don't know that they've been trafficked. They just develop a relationship with them, and slowly they build the trust. And some of the women that have come through here, first of all, they've learned to believe that this is their value.
It's vulnerability. Anyone that has a situation that could create a high level of vulnerability could essentially be a victim of trafficking. We've worked with women that were practicing nurses, practicing attorneys. So it doesn't have a race, a gender, a socioeconomic status. Ultimately, if someone is vulnerable, a trafficker will figure out how to exploit that vulnerability and take advantage of them.
Human trafficking for me was, I was robbed of my childhood. My human trafficking started when I was 4. It's been my whole life that I've suffered in human trafficking in one form or another. It's in your family. It's your moms, your dads are doing it, but people don't know what it actually looks like.
It destroys you. The mental abuse and the psychological abuse, it leaves you blank and empty and no longer even a person. And there's no way to come back from that without like a whole person-centered immersive experience that Sanctum House provides.
And a lot of them come in hating themselves. So it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of different areas to be able to help the woman heal.
We had classes on healthy relationships. I had all sorts of trauma therapy. I still see my trauma therapist once a month. I had therapy on grief and loss. All these different pieces come into play. And Sanctum House is the only place I know of that addresses all of them so that you can be a whole person again.
This program allows you to get through that and grow. It gives you your dignity back, your soul back.
There's always hope. And sometimes Sanctum House is the last hope for some of these women. And if you're ready, we're always ready.
Joining me, bringing you into the conversation this morning is Jennifer Baenziger with Sanctum House. Thank you in advance for all that you do.
Thank you
for being here too. So for people that don't understand, we just saw the video that is on your website about human trafficking. And human trafficking can happen anywhere. In fact, in reading and researching this, there are many houses or situations that are specifically trafficking out women. Can you expound on that more? It could be anyone in any location. Tell me more about that.
Yes, exactly. And thank you, Lori, for having me here. I really appreciate this opportunity. Yeah, I think most importantly, to understand human trafficking is to know it is happening everywhere, and not just to women, to men, women, children. There's no template. There's no boundaries for it, and it's difficult to, I guess, identify, because you may be seeing and not really realize you're seeing it. And the trauma that occurs from it is very complex from it.
So in the video, one of the survivors said that it could happen within your family. And you're also saying that there is no template to it. So is there a specific definition for it? Because I think of it as women only, and you just now said that it could be women or men. And is there a specific age range, or is it happening to maybe runaways, or can you expound on that?
Sure, yes, absolutely. Most of the residents at Sanctum House have been trafficked by somebody they know, and that is very common. The trafficker in most cases is somebody that you know. It's a loved one, a family member, or maybe even a boss. You know, there's sex trafficking, there's labor trafficking, there's domestic servitude, and they all have their own challenges in identifying them. I think most importantly, the face of human trafficking is vulnerability. Traffickers exploit individuals and their vulnerabilities. Homelessness, poverty, or home insecurity. It's a time in your life that maybe many of us may be vulnerable for a short period of time, that you can you know, be at risk. But vulnerability is definitely the key, and that takes a lot of different forms. And like I said, many of our residents that have been through our program have been trafficked by somebody they know. Most of them have all been trafficked by somebody that they know.
So I guess when you say it's by someone that they know, can it be because again, in listening to, let me just say to our viewers, I had an opportunity to meet Jennifer. She was at Alexander Zonjic's benefit concert. You said that he does this, he's done it for 14 years to make sure that people have an awareness about human trafficking. And one of the survivors there said that she wasn't even really aware that she was being trafficked. And you know, I think of human trafficking, and I think of sexual trafficking, and you know, just now broke it down that it could be domestic trafficking. There are many different layers to it, but it seems like the overall theme is control over the person that is being trafficked. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's, you know, the manipulation and the exploitation, absolutely. That is very key. I think technically, often used for the definition of human trafficking is force, fraud, and coercion. And that is, you know, sort of a blanket way to look at it. And, you know, you asked me the ages. It breaks my heart to share this, but many of the residents at Sanctum House, although we accept adult women, their trafficking began when they were children, toddlers, foster parents, or the boyfriend of a mom. Addiction is another vulnerability. Maybe the parent or somebody that they know, you know, has a substance abuse issue, and you know, they become involved in trafficking because of that. I think what you said is very important, that it is, you know, something that is across all genders, and ages and demographics.
How common is it? And is Detroit, or and not just in the city, I'm sure within the outlying areas as well, is it a hub for human trafficking? I mean, I remember some of the news stories that we've heard have said, wow, it's really increased here. Or what is your feelings about that? Is that true?
Yeah, there's, I think the good thing is there is becoming an increased awareness of it, which is really important. And, you know, there is that conversation about, you know, Michigan being a huge hub and it's the highest, you know, in all the states. But the reality is that gathering the data for human trafficking is difficult and challenging, because it's not always identified as human trafficking. And so, and it comes from many different sources. For example, the Human Trafficking Hotline, Polaris, a variety of law enforcement agencies pool information together. So, you know, it's not a hard and fast number. The Michigan, or the National Human Trafficking Hotline in 2024 had just under 600 human trafficking cases in the state of Michigan. But I will add that our current Attorney General and the state of Michigan is working very diligently in improving the way in which we find a victim, the way in which a victim is treated in the process, protecting the victim, and increasing the opportunity to prosecute the trafficker. And that awareness and all of those efforts bring to light this subject. And sometimes in that process, it appears as though we are the worst, when in fact, I have even heard one of our assistant attorney generals say that, what we're seeing may look worse before it gets better, because they are working to be better at it.
What are some of the signs, if you're a person looking outward, and you said that there are different levels, it's complex, of how someone is trafficked, are there specific signs that you can see, well, this person is in trouble, they might be in a situation like that? Because I think maybe some of our viewers might think, oh, these are women that are forced to be in a home and they can't escape, but it might not always be like that, right?
Right, right. And you mentioned earlier that sometimes they don't even know they're being trafficked. Sometimes they're forced to live out on the street, and the person that they meet, they feel is in love with them. It's their boyfriend. And, what they're doing is what has to be done in order to survive, in order to pay the rent. It's a sacrifice that you're doing for me. And the concept that they were actually trafficked is sometimes something that they don't even realize until, they're in recovery and they're dealing with their trauma. But going back to signs, let me say too, if anybody sees a crime or somebody's in danger, the first thing you want to do is call 911. But if you're witnessing maybe a high school student or a friend that appears to be being watched by someone that is not their guardian, not someone that you've seen before, if you see them withdrawing from their normal social cycles and relationships, or even a student who is struggling in school because they're not getting the appropriate sleep. These are things that you might see and question. Someone being controlled and not have their personal decisions, being available to them. You can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline and you can report it, and they are trained at walking you through the situation and what might be the best thing to do. So those are the two main options I would suggest.
Well, it's good that you pointed out the different scenarios that someone could be in. Maybe they're thinking it's their boyfriend and they're asking them to do all these horrific things under the guise of love. But Sanctum House is there to help. Let's take a look.
Dishes, sitting alone and reading, or picking out what blanket will look best on the couch are simple, unexceptional tasks. For a survivor, they are steps in a long recovery process. And if they can be done in a safe place, they can be a true blessing. A survivor has to get used to the idea that someone can do nice things for them, or even love them, and expect nothing in return. Having a voice, being seen and heard, should be available to everyone.
The older I get, the more invisible I feel.
Think about that for a moment. Survivors of human trafficking feel invisible. Imagine if you had been trafficked, maybe even by someone you know, and you're living in a society that doesn't know what it looks like to be trafficked. Wouldn't you feel invisible? All around us, everyday people that we know, are trafficked. Human trafficking has many forms and many faces. At Sanctum House, we describe it as force, fraud, or coercion used to exploit another person. Human trafficking is complex and far-reaching, and the vulnerable are right in front of us. While getting the person out of their trafficking situation is the first big step, it's just the catalyst for rebuilding a life. So we built a sanctuary. Sanctum House is a sanctuary for survivors of human trafficking to heal and rebuild. A home built upon our core values: safety, empathy, gratitude, autonomy. Inside their new home, the normal, everyday tasks become a part of their recovery. Our reintegration program is built upon evidence-based practices and trauma-informed healthcare with support from the local community. Sanctum House is the foundation to build a better life, with the hopes that all of our survivors can finally be seen, be heard just for who they are, and be loved by someone expecting nothing in return. If you have something to give, time, money, resources, We would love for you to join us in our mission.
So Sanctum House is there to offer a refuge, a sanctuary for women victims of human trafficking. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how you can help and maybe get into just a little bit more of how these ladies feel like they've been helped with Sanctum House. So stay with me, and we'll be right back.